Hey everyone, Dean here. I know you might be expecting Caelynn, but ouch, I just stubbed my toe. But this week we're doing something a little different. Unbeknownst to her, I'm gonna record a YouTube video, upload it, see if she gets angry. But I think she won't be. I think it'll be a fun little thing. Anyways, I'm here in Italy. Found this mountain not too far from our hotel. There's a via ferrata on it that I've heard mixed things about. Some people say it's simple, no need for equipment, no need to change my shoes. I got my Tevas on, probably not very smart. I've had people say that I shouldn't be doing it without equipment. But what I've come to realize is that there's only one way to find these things out, and that's for yourself. So I'm gonna head up there. It's about 6 miles round trip, maybe more, I don't really know. But I made some very strong constraints for myself since I'm doing it alone. I will turn around if at all I feel unsafe on the via ferrata. If at all there are snow fields for me to traverse, because no one wants to traverse a snowfield in Tevas. So come along with me on this journey of being an idiot in Tevas, high in the Italian mountains by myself. But at least I got my camera, my GoPro, I got my drone. Stay tuned, I'll keep you updated every so often. All right, well, I've reached my first constraint. I've only been hiking for 10 minutes. I said I wasn't gonna cross any ice, snow, glacier fields, but I didn't expect to really run into any. And like I said, 10 minutes in, I'm at my first one. As you can see, it's very small, very flat. And I think I'm willing to make an exception of one of my very serious main constraints. But I digress. This is the steep uphill section to gain the ridge. I remember hearing something about it being 700 meters of altitude gain, which translates roughly to like 2,300 feet. And it can't be more than a mile, so that's how you know it's steep. And again, we're in Tevas, so. I actually forgot to mention, while recording that, I had traversed the snowfield, so that's why the exception was necessary. Here's a look at the steep climb to gain the ridge. 2 groups ahead of me, 1 group of 2, 1 group of 4. About a quarter of the way up this thing. Reached the first group. Tevas are holding up real well. By the way, this is not a sponsored post for Teva, but Teva, if you're listening, hey, climbing a mountain in your sandals, man. If there's not a better testimonial out there, I don't know what it would be. I'd like to stress, before we get into this, hiking is never a race. If you try to move too quick, it's a really easy way to hurt yourself. That being said, I just passed a group. Let's go. Again, not a race, but if it was, I'd be 1 up from whatever position I was just in. The only reason I really feel like noting that is because we're on day like 10 of our Italian vacation, and for every single meal, and I'm not just talking about dinner, I'm also talking about lunch, breakfast when I eat it, I've had at least a pound of spaghetti and at least 2 beers every single meal. And so you can kind of get an idea for the sort of shape I'm in after 10 days of doing that. Not to mention, I haven't seen a gym in legitimately years. This is 30, I guess. Okay, I've reached the top, although I'm not quite on the ridge line, because it appears there's a traverse right around here, goes up to here. I don't know if you guys can see, there's a couple hikers out there, but I hate this. It's like traversing on steep, sketchy cliffs with loose rock. It just like, make the up part to the saddle. Why go up and traverse over? Why can't you just traverse low and then go up? I'm I'm gonna have a word with someone about this. Breaking out the nice camera for the first time. All the way out there, you can see the saddle that it looks like I'm meant to gain. Nice sideways traverse across this beautiful scree field. So I read up a little bit about this place before coming. As you can see, you get a lot of barbed wire fencing here. As the story goes, in 1915, Italy declared war on Austria, and with the rise of alpinism, they began trying to seize the land up here. And so they built fortitudes all throughout these mountains. It's pretty crazy. Most of them died from things like avalanches and exposure rather than gunshots. It's crazy to think about. I'm sure many of you don't play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but this stuff really reminds me of Ganon's creepy stuff that takes over Hyrule Castle. I wish there was a little eyeball I could poke to clear it all up for me. Please be nice to my feet. Okay, I've gained the ridge line. Just passed another group of 4 people that were all putting on harnesses, quick draws, slings, helmets, shoes, obviously. I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but I'm wearing T-Bus, so everyone keeps kind of laughing at me as I walk by them. On this side of the ridge, it's a little windier, a little colder. Glad I got it's a parka, it's not even insulated or anything, but should help a little bit. I'm still pretty confident. I think my confidence has waned just a tiny bit. It's just a little unnerving to see them all prepping for some epic adventure, and here I am, just walking. I will say a bit of advice for anyone that's still watching this. Hiking in one of these sling satchel things, not recommended. It's not bad, but it's not super cool. This is a pretty cool refuge I was just talking about. Look at this thing. Oh. Could you imagine living in here in the early 1900s for an entire winter? They said one month it got to minus 40 Celsius. The next month it snowed 10 to 15 meters. And I think they said even the next month they had the most number of avalanches ever on record. And now you can see why 6,000 people died from that stuff. So now it looks like we're getting into the tricky technical stuff. They're all certainly roped in. It looks like there's a guide wire, which just adds to the comfort. I don't see, it's definitely sketchy, but I definitely think it's doable without gear. One mistake is fatal. I'm sure it gets worse than this. Just taste of the actual Via Ferrata coming in here. I don't know if you guys have seen my plank walk in China, but reminiscent. Let's see if I can record while stepping. Look, I've done a lot of dumb things in my life. I think having the GoPro out at this very moment might be one of the dumbest. It's not that dangerous, Dean. Safe. First 3 Ferratas conquered. So the nice thing about going solo is you don't have to worry about your gear. You're significantly slowed down by having to clip and unclip. Many moments don't even need to be clipped. More sweet bridges. A bit of a traffic jam. Past my 4th group of the day. Again, not a race, not a race. It's not a race. Races are dangerous. And I'm not racing. I'm simply proud of the speed at which I'm moving. Now it appears I've come across a nice cave again. I'll show you in a minute. Let me get over there. Look at this thing. Oh wow, how deep is it? So the people also obviously lived in here. Wow, it is deep. I'm a little scared to go all the way in, but you can see it's pretty freaking deep. Oh my gosh, there's light at the other side. This is amazing. What? Unbelievable. Oh my gosh, it's a freaking pathway. That's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh, the suspension bridge, sick. That's actually one of the reasons I wanted to come here. Was because I saw photos of this thing. So sick. One of the major downsides of doing this hike alone is I have to set up my camera to take a photo of me up on the bridge, come back and collect it. But you gotta do what you gotta do to get the shot, right? This has exceeded my every expectation. Oh my gosh. Pretty scary. Okay, so did the suspension bridges. I am pretty sure I still haven't gotten to the crux of the hike yet. I think someone said that the ending of it is the hardest for whatever reason. I'm so happy right now, nothing's gonna stop me. Woo! It's just the best day ever. I'm so happy I did this. I woke up this morning and I wasn't really motivated. I laid in bed for like an hour just sitting there. And then I was like, no, when will you ever get the chance to do this again? And I'm just very happy I did. Note to future self, just freaking go and do it, because if you don't, you'll be bummed you didn't. And if you do, you'll be stoked you did. I feel like I've shown a lot of these, but I can't get over it. Just like, imagine being up here in the dead of winter. And you probably don't even want to be up here. Like, you're probably fighting a war you don't even want to be fighting. But holy cow, like the perseverance of these men and women to live up here for weeks, months on end, blows my mind. Now back to finishing this hike. The views from up here are pretty spectacular. One of the little factoids I read was since there were so many deaths in avalanches in the early 1900s in that war, they're still like unearthing bodies sometimes because of more snow melt than normal. It's a pretty horrifying thing to think about. You're just out for a walk one day and you see a body that's been frozen in time for 100 years. water, despite its obvious age and wear. Oh. So most of these buildings up here are like locked or boarded up, what have you. This one isn't, and I wanted to look inside and see what it is. I'll show you. It's not great, but it's necessary. It's a part of life. And it's just great of them to have that up here for anyone that might need it. Fortunately, I do not. I think we can all agree. The descent is always the least enjoyable part of any expedition. It's just like you already done what you came here to do. The fun is just, you know you're not going to be having as much fun as you already had earlier on. I hate going downhill. I don't know what it is. My equilibrium, maybe I slip at least 3 times every single descent. Fingers crossed my Tevas hold up. I've never descended in Tevas, so you know, things might be different this time. I'll give you guys a quick look at what we're descending into. I will say the trail is very nice. Very nicely manicured, very clear where you're supposed to go. No route finding really. It looks like we'll be descending directly into that couloir. Out the other side, go left, past that lake, might jump in. If I do, I'm only doing it because I hijacked Caelynn's YouTube for the day. Otherwise, I'd still probably do it actually. It sounds so nice. I'm sweating my buns off. I don't know why I'm wearing my rain parka right now. Oh. Wow, how cool. There's a little building down there. You see the Italian flag, the EU flag, and then the flag. Oh, it looks like there's a freaking trench from the war. Oh my gosh, I gotta go check that out. I'm gonna go check that out. Another example of how well developed this trail is, considering I'm sure there's got to be thousands of people on it per year, but definitely descended down much worse. Look at this. It's like full-blown staircase out here at 3,000 meters high. We're getting closer to this little fortress thing. Oh, so cool. Okay, I'm walking in the trench that we saw from above, and it's freaking sweet. They have these signs everywhere telling everyone what's going on, but it's in Italian, so I really have no idea what it is, what it was used for. I imagine it was some sort of fortress of protection between the Austrians and the Italians. I see a date here, 1918, so I'm gonna assume this was developed in 1918. That war that I mentioned earlier started in 1915, I think. I don't know exactly how long it raged on for, but it's crazy to walk through this trench knowing that there were a lot of soldiers back then that were scared, hurt, fighting for something they probably didn't even really know or understand. So I was planning on not drinking water this hike just because I said I could do it without drinking water like a freaking loser. But after wearing that parka for the past hour, I was sweating a little bit in it, and so I'm just gonna drink it. Put my pride aside, you know? There's no place for pride in the great outdoors. Hopefully I don't need any more water after that, because that's all I got. Ah, that was good though. Well, I said it was gonna happen, and I probably self-fulfilled that prophecy. I've fallen, but I'm okay. It wasn't that bad. It was just a minor little slip on this stupid scree field. Not the Tevas fault. Don't think it's the Tevas fault. It was my fault and all mine alone. Blasphemy. That fall happened actually just before having to bend the rules on one of my constraints again, because as you can see, I'm about to approach a very large snowfield, and at this point I'm not turning around, obviously, so there's no choice but to just power right through it. You want to see how big it is? Look at that. That's got to be at least 3 meters long, and if I fall, that's a 30-meter slide at the very least. Although that probably would actually really hurt, because you get moving straight into the rocks. Definitely don't want that to happen. So here we go. I'm about to Man, it's like I said earlier, descents are the absolute worst. But what's worse than a descent is a descent that leads you to another ascent. Come on, Italy. I'm tired. I want to get some spaghetti and drink a beer. Is that too much to ask for? No, I'm just kidding. I'm having a blast. Nice soft descent. It's a lot of loose rock. Oh, almost fell there. Doesn't count. Only one fall so far today. Whew. This is a little sketchy. I'm putting the camera away. Everything I said earlier about this being the most developed down climb descent I've ever done, I take it all back. Oh my gosh, this is maybe the sketchiest scree field I've ever walked through. These rocks are newly placed. They're massive. Rocks you typically, I think you can trust, have moved on me, slid. I haven't been hurt yet, obviously. But it's terrifying. You never know what's the next to go. Not to mention, have I mentioned this yet? I'm wearing freaking Tevas. And you wanna know what Tevas aren't good for? Protecting your foot from a 50-pound boulder rolling over the top of it. There's been little ones rolling over me, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of like a little massage for my feet. But all it takes is one behemoth to just really ruin my day. Okay, well, I've graduated from down climbing through scree to walking down a slope of very dirty ice. I think I can trust the traction that I have, but man, it does not feel safe. This is by far the most dangerous part of this entire hike. Via Ferrata, easy. Suspension bridge, no problem. Down climbing through scree with loose 50-pound boulders, no, thank you. This little crunch under my foot, it's just really reassuring. Every time it crunches, my Teva rubber soles with all their grip onto that ice and say, "You're not falling today, Dean." And my little heart goes, thanks Tevas. Oh, I'm on a rock. Okay, back on the ice. I don't know where those other groups that I passed are. They were oh, icy, muddy foot. What really sucks is there's like a walking path just on the other side of that big glacier there. But obviously it's like, how would you get to it? Oh, I hate scree. It's just so scary. But also, like, my camera hangs from my backpack. I fall on a rock, my camera's falling on a rock, and I would just cry and cry and cry if my camera broke. Okay, breaking my #1 rule again. Crossing this little snow patch. This actually is the biggest one I've encountered so far. Oh gosh, that's cold. I would rather do this than walk around. So here I am. Actually, you know what? This snow, pretty solid, pretty grippy. You can see I'm holding the satchel strap because goodness gracious, it is just ripping my shoulder apart. One nice thing about walking through a big snowy field in Tevas is you can't feel your toes after. Wait, that's not nice actually. I misspoke. Oh gosh. So I'm sure most people know this little tidbit, but one of the sketchiest parts about walking through a snowfield isn't actually walking through the snowfield itself. It is in fact exiting the snowfield, because as you're about to see, the rocks and the snow don't get along. And they can create big holes that don't have much snow there, and you think there's a lot, but you step on it and you fall through like 5 feet, straight face planting into a rock. Let's see, so here's one. See how deep it goes? This stuff seems pretty sturdy, it's pretty big for late in the summer, but normally, watch out for that. And what turned out to be a much bigger day than I expected it to be. I have reached civilization. Oh, what an epic day. Thanks for coming along. I'm gonna get back to the car, chug the last bit of water I got. All right, well, I'm in the gondola on the way down. Pretty beat. Just looked it up, 7 miles. Not bad, lots of fun. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Don't wear Tevas. Bring water. Maybe a snack or two.